You're watching Market Cafe on ET now, and let's get you some more highlights from GBS. Minister of Communication Jyotiraj Scindia speaking to Times Network Group editor Navika Kumar at the ET Now Global Summit 2025 addressed and answered questions on a range of issues. The minister explained how India is a unique market when it comes to telecom sector. Listen into that exclusive conversation.
I think that so let me give you the backdrop. In the telecom sector globally, you have very few countries that have more than 2 national players. And we are very lucky in India to have 4 national players. One of them is BSNL. It's extremely important, I believe, from the social perspective as well, until you're able to connect every single village across this country with OFC and broadband and all of that, to have that capability in a government provider. The government has infused close to about 3.04 lakh crores into BSNL. A lot of that had to do with legacy issues as well. For example, we had a VRS that was in place for almost about 50,000 crores. That also includes, the figure I gave you includes the spectrum that was given to BSNL, which is an accounting entry, because the capital infusion that comes in also goes out back to the CFI in terms of payment for that spectrum, which is almost 75,000 crores out of that 3 lakh crores. And then also part of BharatNet, which is our OFC venture, is part of that. But having said that, I am extremely glad to report to you and through you to all our esteemed members sitting here today and the millions that are watching on your channel, that for the first time in 17 years, and 17 years is a long time in economics, for the first time in 17 years after 2007, BSNL has made a net profit for the quarter of October to December. BSNL has not made a net profit for the last 17 years on any quarter. This quarter, December 31st, we closed at 262 crores, to be exact, net profit, number 1. Number 2, we've kept our expenses in check. Number 3, we've made an operating profit since this capital infusion came in. From 2021, we made an operating profit. So for those of you who understand accounting, on an EBITDA basis, we've made an operating profit from 2021 onwards. 23-24, last year, we made an operating profit of 2,100 crores. This 9 months, so I'm taking 9 months, so if you do pro rata of that, 9 months, April to December, we made an operating profit of 2,400 crores. So in 9 months, we've made 10% more than for the full year of last year. And finally, our loss last year was close to 5,500 crores. As of Q3 FY 24-25, which ends quarter ending December 31st, our loss has been narrowed by close to 1,800 crores.
How did you crack the
So
whip?
we are turning it around.
How did you crack the whip?
I cracked no whip. Credit for this goes A, to the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, B, to every employee of my BSNL, who have worked tirelessly to ensure that we turn around the ship and make sure its value accretive to Bharat.
All right, then let's keep it going with coverage from the ET Now Global Business Summit Collective. Then Aisha Faridi caught up with a whole host of industry leaders to understand India's pathway to a $10 trillion economy and what will drive this particular growth coming in. Help us reach this particular goal. Let's go across and listen in to a slice of some of those conversations.
One of the things we are looking to do in India, given all of the volume growth I talked about, is to set up an air cargo hub. Like I said, right now, Dubai is our air cargo hub for the region. But we would love to set up a hub in India, which will be the first of its kind in the country. And I think for that, there needs to be certain regulatory changes that come up in terms of transshipments, regulations, screening, customs, and also airport infrastructure. So I think those are some of the things where a focus on these aspects will help accelerate, from the policy front as well.
Amredu, any figures to match the kind of vision that Kami just talked about?
Yes, I think she is right on the numbers because you see one of the key things, and we have seen this across India, and it is not just about the steel industry or anything. You see, as the roads have got better in India and the penetration of rail and road network inside the country increasing, you will find, I come from a small village near Nepal border in Bihar. I was born there. The village that I had seen and the village that I see today after 30 years, there is an amazing change. Nothing has come, no industry has come there, no investment has come there. They just have a national highway passing right by the side of the village, and that has changed the economy of the village. That's the kind of inclusivity that infrastructure brings in, logistics brings in. Coming to a larger scale, when I produce 1 ton of steel, I need to move 3.5 tons of raw materials. So you can imagine the kind of logistics and infrastructure that we require. We look forward to that number. As I said, the steel industry is quite bullish as India is being built up. Naturally, the logistics requirement will build up, the supply chain requirement will build up, and I think Kami is right in her numbers.
Yeah. Sorry, you wanted to make a point.
I think one of the other enablers to this is going to be technology. And we have started on that path with the ULIP platform and the idea of digitizing end-to-end. And, when you talk about supply chain resiliency, we need to be able to leverage data and technology. And we need to be able to leverage AI, machine learning, to use historical data to see where we can predict delays and put in place interventions and so on. And we're doing a lot of work with that. We have a product called Surround that uses historical data and including, data on weather.
All right. In fact, continuing with the coverage from the ET Now Global Business Summit Collective, Nikunj had the chance to quiz the FedEx CEO and Director Raj Subramaniam to understand the kind of potential they see in India on the back of trade deals with the United States and the manufacturing vision over the next decade. Listen into the excerpts from that chat.
Hypothetically, 5 years from now, if we're engaging on the same forum, what do you think we are likely to be discussing? Because today I can smell, I can see, and I can predict optimism in your, in your India commitment. What do you think we're likely to be discussing?
Yeah, I think there are 3 areas where I think we would go forward. I think from our context. One is our core business itself, right? And so I do believe that we will be more than double where we are today. I think it's just, I can just feel it. And it's just the energy in this market, what the world is changing. I think we can do that, and we just need to be planning for that kind of growth here. In fact, I'll be talking to my team about this next week. So I think that's what will happen. Second is the innovation that's coming out of India. Even in the FedEx world, we're actually doing a lot of things in India that we're building it first in India and scaling it for the other markets. Now, that's new. That didn't happen 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And the architect is sitting right there with Nitin. There's been an unbelievable thing that what we have seen here is that we're building in India on technology, innovating, staying ahead, and then scaling for the rest of the globe. So that I think is going to continue. And then thirdly, I do believe that our global capability centers that we have now created here, in terms of talent that's available in this market, especially as FedEx has moved into the digital space, that in a big way, that plays a huge role. So by 2030, I would say all these factors will be pushed to a whole another level.
Looking at the kind of push which is coming in the Indian infrastructure sector, especially aviation, roads and railways, do you think that India eventually could also act as a global hub for FedEx, for example? Right now, Dubai is one.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, the infrastructure the hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure have to fundamentally evolve and change. And I think, we're already seeing, steps taking place. I certainly believe that's an opportunity for FedEx to put a version of a hub right here, in this market as the market grows.
All right, then let's keep it going with some more interesting commentary. Bright and early this morning, then global winds shaping India's destiny at ET Now Global Business Summit. Sun Pharma's Dilip Shanghvi downplays US tariff worries, calling the impact on Indian pharma minimal. On the flip side, you have Naveen Jindal of JSPL underscoring the need to shield Indian steel from unfair imports, with bold plans to also scale capacity to 16 million tons in just 6 months. Let's go across and listen in to a slice of both these interesting conversations on India's global ambitions.
I think the generic business, as you're aware, has undergone significant price erosion over last few years. So in case if tariffs are levied, I think most of those tariffs will be passed on to customers. So I'm not seeing a significant negative impact of the tariff on the industry, because the competitive advantage that we have as a country is long term. It's not going to go away overnight. And even if some manufacturing was to start, in pharma business it takes at least 5 to 7 years to bring a new manufacturing facility online, get products approved, start manufacturing. So it's a long-term process. So I expect no immediate short-term impact on tariff in pharma industry.
So if I can pick from your initial answer, Mr. Shanghvi, can I say that Indian pharma sector has nothing to worry? In fact, this actually would be an opportunity for Indian pharma sector, because tariffs are coming on China, they're not coming on India.
No, I think you're reading more than what I said. What I said is that our products fulfill a very important healthcare need in the US. So I expect this to be kept up out of the scope of tariff. And even if they are not, I think most of the tariff will be passed on to consumer. But what impact it has on the business, very difficult to predict. But we fulfill an important role, and that gives me the confidence that in case if there is a negative, it will be minimum.
Mr. Jindal, that is not the story for the steel sector. For steel sector, tariffs already have been announced, and we know how tariffs, in a sense, could impact steel demand. Is Indian steel sector ready to deal with this reboot in global steel tariffs?
Good evening, everyone. So many of you would be surprised to know that these tariffs from US actually is just not now 25%. Then many products, they're more than 200%. And it's been like that for decades already now. So Indian steel production, I'm sure all of you know that India is the second largest producer of steel in the world. And our capacity is more than double of that of USA. And our population is more than 4 times of USA. So we produce steel in India not for USA. We primarily produce steel for domestic consumption. We are growing. We are a growing economy. We are growing at a very fast rate, much faster than USA or any other country. So our demand is mostly for domestic consumption. And this tariff, it may help us in fact, if they only put 25% and remove all the other, they have anti-dumping duty, they have countervailing duty, etc., which is more than 200%. If they removed all that and put only 25%, and that equates us with every other steel producer in the world, then maybe it may work to our benefit, in fact.
But are Indian steel companies globally competitive? Because the view, at least in the stock markets and those who track steel sector, is that China is better, Russia is cheaper.
Indian steel is, like I said, is now second largest producer of steel in the world after China. We are very competitive. We have built our plants now. So we have very, very modern plants. And we are able to compete with everybody. There's hardly any protection that Indian steel industry has. But obviously with this, all the countries that were exporting to USA, they might start wanting to dump in India because we have a huge demand. So for that, Indian steel industry would have to be protected from unfair exports happening into India. So for that, we have already, as the Indian Steel Association, we are already in talks. We have already, filed applications. So DGTR, they are already reviewing, and we hope that in the near future, we are expecting the Commerce Ministry to put countervailing duty duty on all imports from every country.
So
Alright, then that's some interesting commentary coming in from the Global Business Summit. But time for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll get you more news and updates on the other side. So see you then.